Hello, everybody. Isaac Seguno here. Welcome to Optimal Training Group. In the next series of videos, I'm going to be showing you how to build a registration application using PowerApps. Really, I'm creating this video because there are a lot of people who may ask, what is PowerApps? Or can I really use this to create solutions in my organization? What can I build with PowerApps? If you stick around with me in the next series of videos, I will be able to answer all of those questions. And I guarantee you that after this, you will be able to come up with ideas of how you can help your organization using Power Apps. So let's go ahead and get started. So let's first start off with what we're going to build. So I'm going to be building a conference registration request. So imagine in an organization, if an employee wants to go to a conference, the conference, it costs money. So they would fill out a form. It goes through a two-level approval process, and if it gets approved, they get a notification saying, "Hey, you're approved to go to this conference." That two-level, you have the manager first, and then you have your director. And once it approves, and once both of those different levels approve it, then it's approved. And I'm going to go a little bit more into details in a minute or so. And then we're going to create a view in SharePoint where requesters can only see just their request. And then we're going to have a place where a manager and director can see what they approved, just in case they wanted to see a history of all of their approvals. And then we're going to get into Power Automate workflow and sending notifications and updating the list. So let me show you how this is going to work. I actually created a Lucid chart workflow. So here is the workflow that I created using Lucid chart. So the requester, let me see if I can. Okay, so really it's a swim lane. You have three swim lanes: requester, manager, director. So when it starts, the registration is there's a registration request. It's a form. It gets filled out, and a request, an email notification gets sent to the manager. The manager takes a look at it, and they get the choice to approve or reject. If it gets rejected, a notification gets sent to the requester that it was rejected. If it gets approved, it goes to the next level, to the director. And if the director, they get to decide, he or she gets to decide as well. And if it gets rejected, email goes to the requester on the reasons why. And if it gets approved, they get a notification that it was approved. So that's the workflow part. That's going to be probably in a different video, but I just wanted to give you an idea of what we're going to be doing in the next series of videos. So let's go to our SharePoint from here. So now here is our SharePoint list, and let me go in. And if you're not familiar with what SharePoint is, there are lots of videos out there on what SharePoint is. You can even go through some of the videos in my channels. I think I probably created a video on that maybe a couple years ago. And you can get an idea of what SharePoint is. Really, it's just a collaboration tool. But I don't want to get too much into details about that. Just know that, think of Excel spreadsheet where you can create columns. You can create columns and it has rows. So, and it can contain data. So if you look at this here, this is the conference request, and I've created my columns. So these are my different columns, and it has first name, last name, phone, email, the conference they're going to be attending. It has the conference type. So this is a choice column. It's a drop down. So these are the choices in there that they get to choose from. Let's go back. We have a request status, an approver status, and this approver status, it just shows where in the process the request is. So awaiting a manager approval, or it's manager approved or rejected, or waiting director approval. So it just lets the user know or anybody know where in the process that that request is. And then we have the manager approval, and then we have the director approval. In order to, these are just choice columns that has reject or approve in it. And then we have the manager approval reject reason. So if it gets rejected, there's going to be a reason for it as well. And same thing here. So what we're going to be doing is how we going to, the way that we customize this in SharePoint, I mean in Power Apps. So let me click on this form here, and as you can see, this form is pretty plain. There is no there is no type of functionality in here, and this is where Power Apps comes in handy. And if you remember the previous, if you remember InfoPath form, InfoPath was used to customize a SharePoint list, and frankly, I'm glad that InfoPath is going away. Hopefully, I am not a fan of InfoPath. It's a horrible tool, but it had its purpose and its time is up. So, but Power Apps is a way that we can customize this. We can make it look a little bit more prettier. We can add a little bit of functionality to it, and that's what we're going to do right now. So, there are two ways that you can customize your form. You can do it from here, customize with Power Apps, or you can come down here to integrate and then you click on Power Apps and then customize form. So let's actually go through the new. It doesn't matter which way. Come in here, customize with Power Apps, and the other way works just the same as well. So it's thinking and it's going to connect that SharePoint list into Power Apps, and then we'll have access to our form in here, and it'll allow us to go through and to customize it and to do what we need to do with it. So let's wait for it to come up. Okay, so here is our form. Let me give you a lay of the land. So here is this is Power Apps. We are in Power Apps right now, and then you see this SharePoint integration, just letting us know that, hey, we are in, this is integrated with SharePoint right now. And this here shows us the fields that is in our SharePoint list that I was just showing you. Now, not all of them are showing, but I'll show you in a minute how to add those different fields in here. So we have up here, we have, oops, let me go back. We have the Home tab, the Insert tab, View, Action, Settings, and there are so many different things that we can do. We can insert a different screen. We have these labels, buttons, text, input. And as we're building a form, I'm going to kind of explain some of the things that I'm doing to kind of give you you know, a brief overview of what it is and how it's doing. So I always think that the best way to learn something is to go ahead and build it. Let's do that. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to go in and I want to expand this, because you can also have a screen for mobile or for your tablet or for your, you know, a regular screen, your laptop. And I want a regular, this is for like just a regular screen. So I'm going to come in here, I'm going to go to File, I am going to go to Settings, and I'm going to go to Display, and this orientation here, I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to go to Landscape, Apply, and as you can see, it made it a little bit wider. And let me close out of that, and see, it makes it wider. So the next thing that I want to do is I am going to click on this. When I click on this SharePoint Form 1 right here, so this Form 1 screen, this is the screen. As I mentioned before, you can have several different kinds of screens. You know, so this is the screen we're in, and in this screen we have this SharePoint form. And if I click on it, you see how it just highlights the form, the SharePoint form. If I expand this, it has all of the different cards in here. And you can also add to this card. So let me select that again. You can also add columns in here. So if I expand the left hand side, so over here on the left hand side, if I click on edit fields, I am able to add fields or I can remove fields. So if I come here, if I click on this, um, there you go. I can remove, I can move these up and down. I can also just drag it and it'll rearrange it for me. You can also add different fields. So if I come here and I say add field, and these are all the fields that are part of my SharePoint list, and I can just click on what I want to add and add them. So I think these are all the different fields that I would need on there already on there. Actually, no, they're not. So let me look for manager. So let me uncheck this. So I need the manager. So here's the manager approval. I need that. I also need director, add. And as you can see, it adds them. So now that we've added the fields that we need, let me close these out. Now, if you notice, are my these words are concatenated. They're joined together. I don't want that, so I'm going to change that. F name. I want it to be something more readable. So I'm just going to come in here, click that, and just change it. I'm going to say first name. Just type in there. Last name, and I'm going to come in here and give it a second. Then let's go to manager approval. Alright, so I went through and I just changed it. There was a little bit delay when I made changes to it. So I went through, I made all the changes to the labels. So now I'm just gonna change the font and add a little bit of you make it bold. So here is, let's go for Arial, and let's say maybe 15. There you go. And so Arial bold 15, just make it bold. And that's it. So I'm going to go through and do the rest. I'm going to pause the video and do the rest for all the other labels. All right, so I changed all the labels. I made the sizes a little bit bigger, made them bold. Now, one thing that you would notice is we don't want this here. So this manager reason, even though in SharePoint the column is an actual multi-column, right here it's giving us a single line of text. We want this field to be a little bit bigger. So let's go ahead and change that. Now, one thing that I want you all to know is that for everything in Power Apps, the label, any fields that you add, everything has properties to it. Everything. So if you select something, it has properties. Even the screen itself, it has properties. And you can get to these properties from up here. You can select, these are the different properties, and also some of these are functions as well. And all these are properties, and each of these properties you can add some type of functionality to it by coming to this function area and just creating something. And we're gonna get to that. So we're gonna go to the property of this manager reason, and we're gonna come here. You can get to we have the same properties here and also in this panel on the right hand side. So I'm gonna scroll down. I'm going to click on advanced first. I'm going to unlock this because some of the properties you won't be able to change unless you unlock it. So let me go back to properties, and I'm going to scroll down, and you see here it says mode for this mode. If you click on mode here, you can see that there's a corresponding property here as well. So mode. So you can also change it here as well. Um, so But let's go back here. This is much easier for a lot of folks. So you see it has single line. if you click on the drop down, you have multi-line. You also have password. We want the multi-line. And so now that we have the multi-line, let's increase the length. So let's the height. So come down here and we're gonna say 100. And as you can see, it increased. So let's come down here to this director comment here, and let's change this to multi-line as well. And come down here and change the height. All right, and there we have it. So I want to be consistent. So I'm going to come here and change this label. I'm going to say comment instead of reason. Okay, so I am not a designer by no means. I have no design skills, so I'm going to use the help of a theme. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to click on Home tab, and I'm going to click on Themes, and we have these different themes for your application. You can do aqua theme, you can do dark blue. You have all of these different themes that we can have. So let's go with something more, something more a little bit lighter. Let's go with steel. What is this? Yeah, let's do it. Let's go with this one. Okay, so and as you can see, all the drop down, even my buttons when I add the button. Well, I don't need to add buttons in these, but the conference, everything is has a theme to it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select this, and I want to add a heading to this form here. So I am going to bring this down, and I'm going to go to insert, and I am going to insert a label. So here's my label, and let me drag this, and let me click on my SharePoint form again. Let me bring this up until it sort of, here you go, clicks. Okay, so now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say conference registration request form. Okay. So remember, I said everything has properties. So this label also has a property. Now I want this to be a little bit bigger, so I'm gonna go to my properties panel here. Let me first center it, and then I'm gonna make it, let's say Verdana, and then let's change the font size. So there's a font size. Let's make it bold. Let's make the font size a little bit bigger. All right, so here that's our, so let's also see if we can change the background color. Let's find something. Let's see, maybe that or this, maybe this to match the theme, I guess. But then I will need to change the color of the font. So let's go to white. There you go. Okay, so it's looking a little bit pretty now. Okay, nice, nice. So here is our form, and we're going to do one more thing before this video, before we stop the video, end the video. So let me make this bold first. So let's come in here, oops, up here, bold. I think I don't know how we missed that, so let's make this bold as well. Okay. We have this little warning thing here that's coming here, and really what this is saying that let me see, so there's a delegation warning, and we'll get into delegations in another video, but basically it's just giving us a warning that if you have a lot of data in your list, 500 or so, as it says, it doesn't do too well with large data sets. So we have to do something to our form to make it to be able to deal with that. But we're not, this is inserting data into our form, so we don't have to worry about that. So let's change this to something called defaults. And this is just to let it know that, hey, we're not dealing with too much data. So, and as you can see, that warning is gone. So here we go. So here's our form. Let's see what it looks like. So if we come up here in the top right hand corner, if we click on this preview app, and this will be what our app looks like when we go back to SharePoint. But we're not done yet. So what we want to happen now is when the manager comes in here and approves or rejects. So if they reject, by default, this would be gone. The comment will be gone. This would be gone as well. So if they come in here and they reject, this will appear. And if it's unapproved, then it'll disappear. Reject, it'll appear. So let's cancel out of here and let's go and work on that. So the way we do that, as I mentioned, everything has a, what is it called? Everything has properties. Okay, so what we're gonna do is if you click on this, it's a card, and within that card it contains this label and this. We want the whole card to disappear. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make this not visible by default. So you remember I was telling you about the properties. So here are the properties for this card. There is a visible property. So if I click on this, it should just by default be gone. But I'm not going to do that yet. What I want to do is I want to add my formula first, just so I can be able to see. So in my formula, what I'm going to add is I'm going to go to my visible property, visible, and I'm going to put a formula in here. And my formula is going to say if in this drop down, if reject is chosen, this should show, and if it's approved, then it shouldn't show. So before I do that, let me get what this is. I'm gonna click. Let me click on the card and then click again so I can get just this drop down, so I can see what the name is. So the name is data card 6. I can give it a different name, but I'm gonna stick with this data card value 6. All right. So now I'm gonna come back here. I'm gonna say this is my visible property, visible. I'm gonna come in here. I'm gonna say if, and I'm gonna say if data card value 6. So if data card value 6 dot, and I'm gonna say selected. And as you see in PowerApps, it gives you this nice IntelliSense, so you can easily select it. And there's going to be another dot so I can grab a value. So I am saying that if this selected value, whatever was selected, if it is equal to reject, if it's equal to reject, so let it show, and if it's not, then let it make it false. So this property visible, it takes a boolean, and a boolean is true or false. So what we're saying is if the manager approval data card value 6, if the selected value is reject, return true, else return a false. So let's see how this works. Let's go into our preview and see how this works. Okay, as you can see, it's on reject, so it's not showing. So if I come in here and I do, oh wait a second, approve, I'm sorry, yes, it's showing, so reject. So if I do approve, you see the manager comments is not showing. And if I go reject, then it needs to give, here's the manager comment, give its reasons of why it's, why it was rejected. So we got that. Now let's go do the same thing for our director. So I'm going to click on here once and then click again just to get the actual name of this drop down, which is data card value 8. And then we're going to come to the director comment, and we're going to go in, select visible property. Also, if you click here, if you come here and you click this, it brings it up here. So, and I forgot what it was. Data card, oops, wait a second, what is it? I forgot the name of the, Okay, 8. So data card 8. So we're gonna go if data card value 8 dot selected. I can do this dot value. If it's equal to reject, then true, false. So let's go and test this out. So if I come down here, as you can see, my director comment is missing. It's not showing. So, but if I come in here, if I do approve first, it's still not showing. But if I come in here and I say reject, there it is. If I do approve, see it's gone. Alright, so we got that working. Reject. Reject. Okay. Okay, so we're somewhere now. Okay. So now this is this video. So in our next video, now that we've gone through this process, we really don't want these fields to show in the form when a user is filling it out. So let me go in here. Let me save this. Let me save so I can save, and it keeps a version. So I'm gonna save, and then I'm also going to publish. Let's publish to SharePoint. Publish to SharePoint. Awesome. Right here, is a link to our SharePoint list, so I can click on this to take me to the list. And if I click on new, there it is. Give it a second to come up. All right, so here is our registration form. Okay, we're not there yet, but here it is. And as you can see, it looks much better than our last one. It has some functionality to it, you know. Reject. There's our comment. Reject. There's the other comment, you know, if it's approved. Okay. Now when the user comes in and they come in here and they click new, or if we send them a link to this, you know, copy link and send our users the link, we don't want them to see manager approval or director approval. We don't want them to see that. You know, that's none of their business. We just want them to fill this out and get the information that we need. So in the next video, what we're going to do is we are going to show how we can hide this from the user. And if the manager comes in or the director comes in, let these show for them all the time. But if it's a user, it shouldn't show. So stay tuned for the next video, and we're going to go through of how to get that done. Hope this made sense. Thanks for watching. Bye.